Jack was an ordinary man with extraordinary worries. At 28, he had a decent job in a mid-sized company, a small apartment, and a few friends who he rarely saw. Yet he felt that life was constantly against him. Bills piled up faster than his salary, relationships were complicated, and every small decision seemed to bring him stress. One rainy evening, after yet another failed attempt at resolving an argument with his friend, Jack sat on his balcony staring at the city lights, wondering if life was supposed to feel like this. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an old college professor he respected, Professor Collins. It simply said, "Jack, meet me tomorrow at my cafe. I have something important to share. It could change the way you see life." Curious and desperate, Jack agreed. The next morning, Jack walked into the quaint cafe and saw Professor Collins sitting at a corner table. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. After a polite exchange, Professor Collins leaned forward and said, "Jack, life's problems are simpler than we make them. I've distilled the solution into 10 lessons. Follow them, and I promise 95% of your problems will vanish." Jack leaned back, skeptical but intrigued. Lesson 1. Take responsibility for everything. Professor Collins began, "First, stop blaming others. Every problem you face has a part of you in it. When you take responsibility, you regain control. When you blame, you give your power away." Jack thought about his constant complaints about his boss, the economy, and even traffic. "So you're saying I'm partly responsible for my misery?" he asked. "Yes," Professor Collins smiled. "Not guilty, just responsible. You can't control everything, but you can control your actions, reactions, and decisions." From that day, Jack started noticing situations where he had the power to change his response rather than complain. Slowly, he felt lighter. Lesson 2. Focus on what you can control. Life is 90% uncontrollable, Professor Collins continued. Stop wasting energy on what you cannot change. Focus on what you can do right now. Jack thought about his job. He had often complained about his manager's mood swings. Instead of feeling frustrated, he began focusing on improving his own work, learning new skills, and creating solutions rather than getting upset. Within weeks, his confidence grew, and surprisingly, even his boss noticed the change. Lesson 3. Simplify your life. Too many choices, too much clutter, too many commitments. Simplify. Remove what doesn't matter. Prioritize what does, Professor Collins advised. Jack realized he had been juggling 5 hobbies, 2 courses, and a social calendar that left him exhausted. He let go of unnecessary commitments and focused on what truly mattered: his health, his career growth, and meaningful relationships. Life suddenly felt less overwhelming. Lesson 4. Learn to say no. Many problems come from overcommitting, said Professor Collins. Learn to say no without guilt. Protect your time and energy. Jack hesitated. Saying no had always felt selfish. But gradually, he started setting boundaries at work and in personal life. The relief was immediate. His stress reduced, and ironically, people began respecting him more. Lesson 5. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts shape your reality. Weeds are negative thoughts, positive thoughts are seeds. What you nurture will grow. Jack began journaling, noting negative thoughts and consciously replacing them with empowering ones. He practiced gratitude every morning. Over time, he noticed a shift. He was calmer, more resilient, and even happier with small things. Lesson 6. Failures are lessons, not life sentences. Professor Collins smiled as he said, "Stop fearing failure. Every failure teaches something. Treat it as feedback, not judgment." Jack remembered his failed attempt at starting a small online business. Instead of seeing it as a defeat, he analyzed what went wrong, learned from his mistakes, and tried again. This time, he approached it strategically, and the results were promising. Lesson 7. Invest in yourself. You are your most valuable asset. said Professor Collins. Invest time, money, and effort in learning, health, and growth. Everything else follows. Jack enrolled in a professional course that enhanced his skills. He also started exercising and eating healthier. Not only did his productivity increase, but he also felt more confident, energized, and motivated. Lesson 8. Relationships are mirrors. People reflect your energy. Surround yourself with those who uplift you. Let go of those who drain you. Jack started noticing toxic friends who only criticized him. Gradually, he spent more time with supportive colleagues and old friends who inspired him. His mood improved, and interactions became more enjoyable. Lesson 9. Be present. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. What matters is now. Live fully in the present, or life slips by unnoticed, Professor Collins said softly. Jack began meditating, focusing on single tasks and enjoying small moments, a morning walk, his coffee, a conversation. He realized how often he had lived on autopilot, worrying about past mistakes or future anxieties. Being present brought a peace he had never known. Lesson 10. Serve others and find purpose. Finally, Professor Collins said, life is more than your problems. Help others, contribute, and live with purpose. Your problems shrink when you focus on making a difference. Jack started volunteering at a local shelter once a week. Helping others not only gave him joy, but also put his own problems in perspective. He realized that struggles are temporary, but kindness and purpose create lasting fulfillment. Months passed, and Jack's life transformed. He was still the same person with the same job, but everything felt different. Challenges still came, but they no longer overwhelmed him. He had learned to respond, not react, to simplify, not complicate, to invest in himself and serve others. One evening, Jack sat on the same balcony where he once felt defeated. This time, he smiled, sipping his coffee. His phone buzzed. It was a reminder for his volunteer work. He paused, looked at the city lights, and felt a calm certainty. Life's problems were not gone, but they no longer controlled him. He had learned the 10 lessons that could fix 95% of anyone's problems. Take responsibility for everything. Focus on what you can control. Simplify your life. Learn to say no. Nurture positive thoughts. See failures as lessons. Invest in yourself. Surround yourself with the right people. Live in the present, and serve others and find purpose. Jack realized that life was a mirror, reflecting back what he projected. By changing himself, he had changed his world. Problems were not vanishing magically, they had become manageable. And that was enough. That night, Jack slept peacefully, a rare feeling he hadn't experienced in years. For the first time, he understood that happiness wasn't about eliminating problems, it was about mastering them. And so, with these 10 lessons, Jack's life shifted from constant struggle to conscious living, proving that sometimes the simplest truths have the power to solve the most complex problems.
If you find wisdom in this story, subscribe the channel and also like, comment, and share the video.